2 years I've been waiting for this day, and nothing, I mean nothing, is gonna spoil it.
Maggie! I just finished reading this new script. What the hell are you trying to do? Ruin my career, huh? Who writes this drivel anyway?
Greetings, everybody. This is Sean.
Holy cow! More energy, Sean. This is Steve.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say.
This is Sean. Another goddamn podcast.
I forgot what
my life has turned into this. Dear viewers, run away.
Okay. Well, no. This is Sean. Welcome to episode 30 of the Cabot Cove Confab podcast.
Hey there.
We're going to talk about
Hi.
murder -- according to Maggie.
Yeah, why is that in the title?
I don't like it. It's not a good title. Why?
It doesn't match anything else.
Yeah. It should be
in
murder.
the series.
Murder, according to Maggie, like the title of the show, Murder, She Wrote.
Well, do you think it has something to do with what Maggie does for a living, being a writer, a professional writer? Is that something maybe professional writers do in their scripts or something? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, they do that in their scripts, but that's just a stupid title. I just don't like it. But it's a bookend episode, and we'll get to that in a moment. But before we do that, I've got some pre-show banter, and I'll keep it long, baby. All right.
Well, can I go first?
Yeah, sure. You.
I got two parts of my pre-show banter. One part will come up later, but I wanted to tell you about a film. You reminded me of it just as we were getting ready to record. About what I did, one of the things I did over the weekend. You were talking about, having Roku TV, and I noticed that recently there was a film that has now shown up on Roku as one of the films for free that you can watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a film that I watched. I'm pretty sure when my parents got cable. Let's see, this movie came out in 1984. Okay, so I was just a little boy. Yeah, it would have been about the time that my parents got cable, and this was on one of those. It was one of those movies that I'm sure it got a theatrical release, but it was just one of those films that got played over and over and over, and I loved it. And it's called Electric Dreams. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
And it's on Roku TV for free. Now that movie you could not find until obviously YouTube. I think has it for free, but it's a horrible copy. But I think there's some kind of weird licensing issue because the soundtrack is amazing.
Uh-huh.
I used to have the soundtrack. I lost it. I don't know where it went. I think it's worth a lot of money now because it's out of print. And the movie, I think it got a UK DVD release, but never got a release over here. Again, I'm not really sure of all the legalities. But I'm wondering if things are starting to open back up for this film. I would love to see this thing get a physical release here in the States. But yeah, it's a really good movie. For those that are not familiar, it's about a boy who bought a computer. Well, a young man who bought a computer. It takes place in San Diego, and no, I think it's San Francisco. Anyways, he has a computer, a PC that he buys because he needs help with his daily tasks. Like he's missing his business meetings and stuff like that. So he buys this computer, and due to a comical grouping of errors, the computer becomes aware, and of course he starts dating this lady, Madeline, and he falls in love with her. Well, the computer also falls in love with her too, and I don't want to go into the whole plot, but there is a love triangle between the guy, the computer, and the girl, and it's a comedy. It's a rom-com kind of thing. It's got a great soundtrack. Boy George is one of the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Giorgio Who's the guy who did the Metropolis '80s?
Yeah,
Marauder. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's responsible for the soundtrack.
Yes,
it's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it or if it's been a while, and Roku's free, I recommend that film up and down. I haven't seen it in so long, and it was great to see it again.
And you know what? If memory serves, it was one of the first movies that I recorded onto like Beta.
Oh, really?
Like off of TV, yeah. Where I would sit there with the remote and hit pause when the commercials came on and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have that anymore. But if memory serves, it's a lot better than that movie that came out many, many, many years later called Her, which we talked about.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
That movie I just couldn't. Like, okay, I get it. I guess it's kind of good, but Electric Dreams was just so much more fun, you know?
I don't know if it just didn't do well, but it's so great, and I really wish it would have got, if it did get a physical release in the US, I don't know about it, at least not on DVD. I'm not talking about VHS. But I'd buy it. I've thought about importing the UK one, but I'm wondering, if it's like Scream Factory or one of those boutique studios would pick this up and publish it. I would love that. Include the soundtrack. Oh man, I'd buy the full like special premium edition, whatever. It's just one of those movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, I agree. All right. I wanted to share something with you. A film that I saw, a documentary actually.
Uh-huh.
Now, Steve, you may know me. I like the scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know that you like... I'll just get right to it. This movie I saw on Hulu, but I understand it's also available on Amazon Prime if you have either of those services. May be available on Roku for free. I don't know. But, Steve, you have to see this movie. Okay. Missing 411. All right? Now, there's a guy who made a series of books. I think he made 8 books total. Called Missing 411. I don't know why it has the 411 in the title.
It's like for information, I guess, for your information.
Okay.
It's Pilates. Pilates. What was his name? David Pilates. Pilates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very aware of this documentary. I've watched. He's got 2. I've watched both of them. As a matter of fact, I think I ended up paying to rent them when they first came out. I was so excited.
The one that I saw was Missing 411 Hunted.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Oh my! I was fucking terrified in this movie, and okay, he breaks it up into chapters. If this appeals to you folks, Missing 411 generally means his books are mainly about people who just go missing inexplicably in the various national parks and whatnot around the U.S.
Yeah,
and we're talking about like. It's not like, they went on a camping trip all by themselves and they went missing in the woods and their body was found, 6 months later. We're talking about people that just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
For instance, I remember there was a family that was on a camping trip and the little boy was there. Somebody turned around, they went back, little boy was gone, and they never saw the little boy again. Very sad, but still,
Yeah, I think like years later they found a piece of a skull.
Yeah,
and there's a pattern to this. Now some people say, oh, it's a serial killing group or something like that, but this mystery goes back to once America was settled by the Europeans. Like, I mean, there's cases from the 1800s. But there's a pattern, and it's a very peculiar pattern, and that's what makes it fascinating. Because otherwise, you can think, okay, foul play is one. Maybe they took their buddy out to kill him, or their kid to get rid of him, or there's a million things. A Satanist group, whatever. But the weird thing, the paranormal recurrence of issues, or not issues, our patterns, is that one, when it's not always a child, but it's typically 9 times out of 10, it'll be a boy with some kind of disability. For whatever reason, this phenomenon targets young boys with disabilities. That could be dyslexia, could be mental
Yes.
problems, or some other physical ailment. 2, I think they said within 24 hours, an unexpected weather pattern,
Yes.
like either a major snowstorm or a major rainstorm, will pull into the area and wipe away any evidence. So there's no smells for the dogs, nothing. Every time. Well, not every time, but the majority of the time. Another thing is that for whatever reason, even in the summer, it doesn't have to be in the winter where you might suffer from hypothermia, but people will remove their clothes and they'll fold them neatly, take off their shoes, and place them, and then just leave them. Mm-hmm. And there's instances where they'll leave their backpacks. Now, in their backpacks, they've got full supplies like food, water, whatever. They'll leave that behind. There are a few instances where people do come back, and their stories are even more bizarre. Typically, children don't remember, or they're too young, or what happens to them is so bizarre they can't put it into words. But for a couple of adults, they'll come back and they say, well, they got lost, but they had people that were following them, and they would try to say, hey, help me. And the people would just be out of sight on the other side of a bush or a tree, but they could hear them whispering, but they wouldn't help. And so they got confused, and so these voices would pull them farther away from where the search people are. It could be a search party of 100 people, but this voice his whisperings would cause them to go in a direction that pulled them away. If the body is found, it's not they're dead. It's in an area where the search team had just been the day before. Mm-hmm. And typically when they find the body, it's not all torn up like you would see if you were lost in the woods for a week. When they find the body, there's no bruises, no scratches. It's almost like they just came out of a shower kind of thing. It's very strange.
And they break this up into chapters, and like the first one is this guy that went out hunting with 6 or 7 other guys. They didn't have any children in this movie that disappeared.
Yeah,
but
that was the second documentary about the hunters.
What was the first documentary? Because I read about a first documentary, but I don't know what I couldn't find it in IMDb or anywhere.
The first one is about kids, about the boys.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
What's
girls
it
go
called?
missing too, but it's it's like 8 times out of 10 it'll be a young boy with some kind of learning disability.
Was the first one called Missing 411?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta look this up. Maybe tonight.
But I got the first book. And if you're interested in the books, I recommend them. They read because David Pilates was an ex-police officer, so they kind of read like investigation notes. So if you don't mind, it's a little dry, but the stories are very fascinating. But don't buy them on Amazon. They're like I think they're close to $100 a book.
Yeah,
there's like 7 or 8 books. You need to go to his webpage. On his webpage, you can buy them for like $20.
Huh.
So, but I bought one. I never finished it. I got about halfway through, but it's really interesting.
There is a scene though, or there is a part of the movie where he follows this group of guys, and I don't know how he got involved with these guys, but they go to a place that they called Camp Sierra. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, let's get to the point. Who was missing? What's going on? And eventually they pull back the curtain and they reveal why they're explaining this site. And it was these guys, I don't know, it was a long time ago, but they recorded the sounds of a Bigfoot. And it is the most terrifying Bigfoot recording I have ever heard.
Oh, yeah, that's a very famous recording. Yeah, it sounds like samurai. It's the one where they think they got the samurai chatter.
Yes.
Did they talk about that? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go look for that in YouTube. Just any Bigfoot recording, it's absolutely bone-chilling. It's like some of the scariest stuff you could possibly hear.
Now, these recordings were made in the 60s, so before like modern technology could mix and you could still do voice mixes, but they took them to somebody that worked in the military, like did audio, not investigations, but whatever, would work on audio for the Army. when they got this stuff back in the 60s, and he said that whatever this is making these sounds is outside of the human vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot get that low. But he
what,
says whatever it is, it's definitely language, because there's rhythm and there's repeats of syllables and stuff like that. So whatever it is, there is language. It's just and funny enough, it sounds like a samurai from like an old Japanese film. Yeah,
and these guys, what drove me crazy though is that they were responding back to these noises, like they were repeating the noises, and I'm like, sir, do you really want it to come closer? Don't.
They did, yeah, they do, yeah.
But fascinating documentary. I'm going to look up the first one. I did not realize it was a sequel, so to speak. So, yeah, that's tonight's viewing. Sorted.
Very good.
All right. I also watched a ridiculous documentary about Skinwalker Ranch that I am not going to recommend because...
That's so funny. So on Roku TV, they've got the History Channel's Mysteries of the Skinwalker Ranch or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I started watching that, so...
There's another one called... I can't remember the name of it, but it's done by a quote-unquote investigative filmmaker, and then he has this journalist who, he more or less pairs up with, and the journalist is one of the people that it was allowed on Skinwalker Ranch when it was sold to that millionaire that brought all the scientific... Bigelow.
Yeah.
And near the end of the movie, he actually talks to the guy who currently owns Skinwalker Ranch. Mm-hmm. And this guy's dressed all in black, and they've got his face all, pixelated, and his voice is like this because he doesn't want to be seen because he's a prominent businessman.
Sure.
And it was a little bit, I don't know. I just don't know. It's just like so many people have stories, but you would have thought that by now they would have caught something on camera. And the stories are so out there. I mean, they're just like... unbelievable, like portals to another world, wolfmen. Anyway, let's talk about Maggie.
I'm more than happy to talk about Murder, She Wrote, but we're not going to be talking about Murder, She Wrote it's more of the loosest sense of the term, because it's a season 6, what you call the bookender, I think is what you referenced.
Yeah. We have Jessica's in it, but she's in it at the beginning. Is she in it she's not even in it at the end.
She's not. Not like the others. So we've talked about this before, and I want to say, Pushing Up with Roses? Is that the yes. YouTuber? I think did a video on this. I tried finding it earlier, I couldn't, but basically, I guess Angela Lansbury wanted some more free time. Maybe Murder, She Wrote was taking up too much of her schedule. I don't know. Maybe she was doing a film. Anyway, so they decided a certain number. I think half of the season is dedicated to characters that either Angela knows or heard about, and so it's their story. And Jessica Fletcher's only in the beginning, sometimes at the end, but never in between. She's not involved in the story at all.
Yeah. And it's actually not even half the season. I think it's only 6 episodes. And we've already covered one of them before, and that would be what's the name of it? The old Glory lady.
Yeah, the one on the boat.
Old Lady Glory, and we liked it. But we still haven't covered the Pat Hingle one or the Bill Maher one. Looking forward to those.
Grand Old Lady.
Grand Old Lady, the Grand Old Lady. There you go.
And we rated it pretty decent.
Yeah.
Looking at our scores.
Yeah. So here, Jessica does an intro in her cozy little house. She's drinking tea at night. She's dressed up in her usual couture and her earrings. I don't know why I noticed her earrings, but you rarely notice earrings. And so she's like, she had this old student named, well, not old, but this student named Maggie. Maggie's really into wearing vests and pants. And she wasn't a very successful writer, I guess. But now she produces a TV show. Does she write or produce it, or both?
Both.
Okay. All right. And the TV show it just looks terrible. It's called Beat Cop. and it's starring this irascible asshole Burt Rogers.
Oh, right. Now, can we talk about people who are in this real quick?
Oh, yeah, please.
So, some of the people that I picked up on immediately are faces I recognize from other shows or movies that I enjoy. So, first is Gary Sandy. He plays this executive at this TV station. His name is Keith Carmody. We also have an actress. I've only seen her in one other role, but it's one of my favorite films. Her name is Marianne Flynn. She plays Vi. Now, I recognized her from the National Lampoon Vacation films. She's Cousin Eddie's wife.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. She has very limited roles, not a very big role, but it's still fun to see, someone you recognize. Also, Bruce Kirby is in this quite a bit. He's a major character in this episode, as a matter of fact. So it was fun seeing Bruce Kirby in there. Who else? The guy who was played in Dobie Gillis, Dwayne Hickman. So he's in it. He plays the president of the TV studio, Brian Thurston. So,
see, I didn't know any of these people except for Bruce Kirby. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how does this start out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Gary Sandy, I should say, was in WKRP. He was Andy Travis.
Okay.
The guy with he would wear the cowboy boots, the wonderful hair. I kind of style my look after that guy, or that character in WKRP. So
I don't remember ever seeing an episode of WKRP. I'm sorry.
Oh my god!
I know all about the turkey trot or whatever it's called. The something about where they throw turkeys out of air. I don't know.
Right. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I just wanted to bring those up before we got into the program. Now, I would say the person who plays Maggie, Diana Canova, I recognized her, and she's in nothing really big that I noticed on IMDb, but when I saw that she had played in The Love Boat, I flashed back to the episode where she plays two roles. She plays like twin sisters that are trying to get a cheap cruise. So they both share the room, but the only one's allowed out at a time. And one of them, I think, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but Gopher falls head over heels for her. And of course, they're twins; they look identical, right? But one wears glasses. So, yeah.
I can't believe that you just brought up an episode of The Love Boat.
I love it.
Anyways, once
it's just like a free bird. She likes to have fun and parties, and the other one's cold and socially, recluse. She doesn't want anything to do. So Gopher obviously thinks these two girls are the one and the same because he doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh, I sense wacky hijinks here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But the thing is, do you know how many actors in Murder, She Wrote have also been on The Love Boat?
Oh, tons. I'm sure. It's got to be.
Okay. So, we have... Burt Rogers. I can't stand him. I thought he was going to be killed.
Yeah, no. Well, we should say Burt Rogers plays the lead character on this TV show, Beat Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like the star of the show, and he's a real douche.
And Dana is his co-star, and I can't. His name in the script is Andy, but I'm just going to call him Bruce Kirby. I can't help it.
Okay,
is another co-star on the TV show. He plays like I don't know, the boss, the lieutenant, or whatever. So we find out that the show is going to be canceled by... Okay, we've got the president of the network, which is a guy named Brian, and then we've got some other guy that I think is above him. His name is Keith, and then there's his number 2, Julie. Yeah. And by the way, spoiler, Keith ends up being the one that's killed, and Julie is kind of this wilting violet, and she takes his place. And it reminded me very much of that episode of Columbo starring Trish Van Devere, where she kills her boyfriend slash boss slash colleague for his job, because that's exactly what happens to her. And I think they even work in the same office building, which I realize they're not actually in that office building. It's just an exterior shot, but just saying, okay?
Yeah. No, we learned all this, by the way. There's a meeting. Keith, I don't know what his title is, but he's over the studio.
Yeah, I don't understand, because if there's the president of the network, and then who are you that you're telling the president of the network what to do? Like,
yeah. So
I don't know.
I forgot the name of the channel. It's like Federated Broadcasting or FBS or something like that. Federated Broadcasting
that doesn't
Station.
sound communist at all. But
no. But yeah, Keith wants to go in there, and he wants to wipe slate
good
clean.
TV is Federated People's Network.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of all the previous programming, even though Beat Cop we find is like the top rated show in its what do they call that? Not its format, but in its
I don't know.
Whatever, it's a top rated show,
okay,
but he hates it. He hasn't never watched the show, but he thinks it just sounds stupid, so he wants to get rid of it. And so Brian, the president, is against it. Julie doesn't really say much, but yeah, that's what we learned, that Keith is done with it. And I got, I don't know about you, but a similar vibe. I think it's in a later season. It's the one where like Something Foul in Flappyville with Bryan Cranston. He plays Parker Foreman.
Oh yeah,
and he wants to cancel the show, but maybe they went to the same school. I don't know.
So since this is about a television show, they got to save a little bit on sets by actually filming it on the Universal lot. And they do something that drives me crazy. There's always, whenever they do this, whenever any movie or television company films something on their lot, there always has to be a scene with somebody walking and talking, and then we see people in costumes walking all around them. And it's always people in costumes of shit.
I did notice it this time. What did you see? I don't remember.
There's two guys, and it looks like they're like, if I said like an English pantomime, would you know what I'm talking about? Like they're dressed in like these frilly garments, and one of them is carrying like a mask that looks like a unicorn. And it was obviously like, hey, let's get the wackiest. Hey, let's send Sheila off. Sheila, could you get the wackiest costumes you can find? Bring them back. Because usually it's like, a couple policemen, maybe a fireman.
A Cylon.
Carrying a Cylon. Yes.
We've seen that. Yeah. That was in the Psycho episode, I think.
But it's just, I know it's a thing. I understand it's set in a studio. You want to give it some reality. But it drives me crazy. It's even in one of my favorite movies, Ed Wood, where he's walking. Nobody does it anymore, I don't think, in any movie, because it's now like overdone. But
you got PTSD from it, huh?
Yeah, I got PTSD from it. That's it, exactly.
So there's another character, and I'm not even 100% sure I understand the relationship with this guy and Maggie. So at one point, Maggie finds out she's the writer and producer of Beat Cop, and she finds out that Keith plans to cancel the show, and so she needs some kind of support, a friend to talk to, maybe a lover. I have no idea, a brother. I don't understand who this person is, but she goes and meets Vincent. Now Vincent is a police officer, and the cop that's in Beat Cop was based on or was inspired by Vincent, and so she goes to talk to him.
Vincent Palermo.
I'm
just saying that.
Instead of Columbo.
I don't know. This is written by Peter S. Fisher, who wrote a lot of Columbo.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he's in Homicide.
And if you look, I swear to God, Steve, the scene where she first goes to meet him, he's like staking somebody out.
Right.
I swear Columbo's car is in the background. I am not kidding. Like,
oh, I'll need to go back and see.
Yeah, it's in the foreground when she first pulls up, and then it's in the background as she approaches his car, the character's car, the Vincent Palermo. I swear it's there. Yeah. And they would still have it because they would use it again later on when they filmed the 90s episodes. But I know I keep bringing this shit back to Columbo, but you really can't help it sometimes when it was created and written by the same people. Not to mention the fact that Palermo himself was in an episode of Columbo, Agenda for Murder, a McGowan episode. He played a minor character, don't ask. But it's what I recognized him from.
It's not the same actor, though, is it?
No, it's the same actor.
What?
Yes.
Wait, which episode was this?
It was Agenda for Murder. It was the one where McGowan played the attorney who he has a colleague played by this actor who is been asked to be the running mate for president, and then McGowan goes and the one with the cheese. You know what I'm talking about now?
Mm-hmm. But the actor who plays Lieutenant Vincent Palermo, is it the same character and same actor who plays him?
No, I'm sorry. It's the same actor. It's not the same character.
Okay.
No.
That's what I was like, oh my gosh. That would prove these two shows are related.
Yeah.
But, okay.
But it's almost like they also do something in this scene where it's like, okay, this is L.A. It's the streets. We're not in Cabot Cove anymore. So let's hire some extras to be like homeless people or something.
What a great job.
They went over the top.
I want to be a homeless extra in some TV show.
Just come and film it in Austin. That's all you need to do. Oh, that's awful. I can't believe I said that. I'm sorry. Because we have a slight homeless problem in Austin. And anyway, they were going to buy up these old hotels or motels and make them into homeless shelters, and it didn't quite pan out because they don't just have 70 homeless people here. Anyway, yeah, check that out. I swear to God, you can see Columbo's car in the scene.
Yeah, I would love to see. That'd be great.
Julie is like she's trying to talk Keith into not canceling Beat Cop, but Keith gets a phone call from who's this lady?
Harriet Duvall.
Duvall, yeah, she's the chief shareholder. So she's the chief shareholder. She can boss Keith around. But Brian is the one who initiated the phone call. Yeah,
he set that up. He went crying to mother, basically.
Yeah, clearly there are too many middlemen executives in this company. And
I was a little confused too.
Yeah,
Did you notice the phone that Harriet Duvall had?
Oh, was it a Princess phone?
It was, yeah. I think this thing is making the rounds. It seems like the last few episodes we reviewed that phone comes. We ought to take a tally if this phone isn't a recurring prop that's used in every episode somehow.
Yeah, no, it's literally the third episode in a row that I can think of where somebody used it. I can't remember where it was used in the last episode, but I remember seeing it.
Well, see, the last one we reviewed was Wearing of the Green.
And that...
it was the actress.
Yeah, and then before that it was the lady Shane, the producer, the Broadway producer
Deadpan.
Who used it.
Deadpan. Now, I know that phone, I've seen it in other episodes, but I wasn't keeping track of it until you made me aware of it in Deadpan. Yeah. I know I've seen it in other episodes,
So yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. Well, yeah, Princess phone, look out for that phone. I also noticed that Keith had a lot of stupid-looking 80s art in his office, and I'm wondering how much of that has made the rounds as well. Maybe not just in Murder, She Wrote, but other shows.
For sure, yeah.
By the same network. Yeah, so she's like, oh, young man, you better not take that. I am the Sharon. People love Beat Cop, and you're going to die, sir. And
well, no, she doesn't say that. But it's interesting. There's a line she delivers, and I don't know if it's just my mind going to like the darkest spot of the world or darkest realm of subject, but she says that she is intimate, or she has an intimate relationship with many of the other board members. Now, what does that mean? Now, she's an old woman. I mean, when you think of your grandmother, gray hair, maybe too much makeup, gaudy jewelry, that's what Harriet Duvall looks like, and I cannot. That doesn't mean what I think it means.
No, I don't think it means. Even though she's wearing like 3 pearl necklaces, but no, it doesn't mean what you think it means. I don't think so. I don't think that.
Well, she was younger at some point, so.
Yeah. It could be that they're all really old now, and I don't know. You know what she reminded me of? She reminded me of like Mr. Grace on Are You Being Served? Like he just sits up in that office and then makes phone calls to the people down below. You don't know who I'm talking about, do you? Okay.
He was the older person. I like the other guy, the bald guy. That was the middle management.
Mr. Rumbold.
Rumbold, yeah.
Man, that's a great show. Everybody's dead, though.
They're all dead now?
Yeah, they all died pretty early. The last one to die was Mr. Rumbold, and he wasn't exactly...
What?
Yeah, he wasn't exactly young when he was on the show, and the one that died before him was the one who played Captain Peacock.
Yes,
and
Captain
you would
Peacock was
have Wendy. Oh,
I always loved Mrs. Slocum.
Mrs. Slocum was awesome.
Who else was
I think
in there?
John Inman, who played Mr. Humphreys. He was, I think, he died first, and
he was the star. Every show has its in an ensemble show, like Happy Days or Are You Being Served? I'm trying to think of other ensemble shows, Stranger Things, whatever. There's always one person that the audience concentrates on and is all seem to gravitate towards. And Mr. Humphreys was that character. He was so funny. I just can't imagine him doing any other roles. I bet he got typecast. I don't think he... Did he ever do anything else outside of that?
I don't know. I think maybe he was in a lot of plays and pantomime and things like that. But you know who I think is probably still alive? And I say probably, as in the last time I checked, he was still alive. Was Mr. Spooner, who came in to replace Mr. Lucas after that actor decided to leave.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Granger, are you free? I'm free. I remember I was at work one time, and one of the partners was like, Sean, are you available? Let's go have a meeting. And I went, I'm free. And he just cracked up. Like, he hadn't heard of the show. He hadn't thought of it. I have the whole thing on DVD. I
bet you do.
You know what? I'm going to watch that documentary, that Missing 411 documentary, and then I'm going to watch all of Are You Being Served?
All of them? Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe get my TARDIS and go back in time so I don't forget to apply for jobs tomorrow.
So Mrs. Duvall forces Keith to at least watch, I guess, a few episodes. So at least Keith has got to watch 3 of the best episodes that Maggie comes up with. So she sets it up for the screening room,
and it looks horrible. It looks horrible.
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of another cop show. And was it Hammer? What was the name of that? I know it's mentioned in IMDb. They said it was inspired by.
I don't know.
Hunter. Okay,
Hunter. There you go.
1984. Yeah.
There was also Hammer, but that was more of a comedy, I think. Yeah. But there's this thing where Keith is sitting there. And I don't think the actor knows how to smoke cigars. Because he's smoking this cigar, and then he starts coughing for a moment. And I thought at first, it's a poisoned cigar. That's how he's going to die.
Yep. Put nicotine into it. Yeah, it was like Columbo. Nicotine poisoning. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. Oh, nicotine poisoning is actually a thing.
Yeah. It was in I forgot what the episode was, but.
Oh, that's right. Cigarette. Yeah.
That was with.
George Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
Oh man,
that was another based off a TV. What was the name of that? It was like a
Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, it was kind of like Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, but yeah,
Were
That's
you
right.
like me, where you would only watch Unsolved Mysteries if it was about something paranormal?
Pretty much.
Like-
Well, I would be excited if something paranormal came up.
Yeah, it'd be like missing. Like at the beginning of the show, they'd be like doo doo, and it was the scariest music too. It was like
I loved it. That is on. I think that's on Roku TV, by the way, for free if you
Really?
want to watch it. Yeah.
with Robert Stack,
Robert Stack, yes.
and then they have missing, doo doo, murdered, and then they have like ghosts, and then he'd come out of like he's solving crimes there in the background. And
I heard in a interview one of the writers or one of the producers, one of the people that work on the behind the camera for that show said that Robert Stack hated the paranormal stories, and he would deliver the lines, and he would say to the director, "You got another one of these stupid stories," and he would just roll his eyes. He hated them, and it's so funny because to me that's what really got me interested in that stuff. But apparently Robert Stack was not a fan of the ghosts and the Loch Ness monsters and the big feet.
Apparently, there were a lot of people our age that agreed with us because then they made way too many paranormal shows when they got older. Because now the market is saturated with even the ridiculous Bigfoot shows.
Yeah,
Ghost Hunters. I think it may have started.
I can't watch that. Yeah.
Neither can I. I used to like it. And there's that fucking guy. Oh my god!
Oh, the muscles.
Which one?
The guy with the muscles. There's a guy that like works out, and he's like the lead.
Okay, yes.
And every time he's in shot, it's like he takes an opportunity to flex his muscle on his arm. Like he points, and all of a sudden you just see a bulge. And like, oh my god!
And he's really good looking. And I remember I was at somebody's house, and that was on TV, and I was like, why doesn't this guy just take his shirt off already? I mean, he might as well. I mean, is this about his body, or is this about the stupid ghosts? Okay. All right. Don't get me started. And here we are, after we were talking about the Missing 411 documentary.
Do a paranormal show.
Yeah.
Jason Hawes, I think his name was. I'm looking it up now.
There was something else that was said, going back to Maggie, that Maggie thinking of murder. What's it called again? I'm not putting... Murder According to Maggie.
Right.
That must be something to do with something. I don't know.
It's gotta be. It's so weird. It sticks out.
Yeah. Like when we did Northern Explosion, like Northern Exposure. Mm-hmm. Maybe there was... I don't know. There's mention of Bert's motorhome.
Oh. Uh-huh.
He lives in a motorhome on set. And she mentions this like, oh, Bert, in your motorhome? Like that's his prized asset. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's really my... Yeah, wait. I'm sorry, Steve. Can I go back a little bit? Can I go back to pre-show banter? I want to mention something for the readers and for you. Mm-hmm. I think you'll enjoy this. I saw another documentary. I know you're rolling your eyes and thinking,
yes,
God damn it, Sean, people want to hear about Murder According to Maggie, but I have to mention this documentary. Also on Hulu, but I'm sure it's available on Amazon Prime and maybe even free. And it's short. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Well, that's standard movie length. There's this documentary called Wrinkles the Clown. Okay, now I swear this is a real thing, all right? So Wrinkles the Clown, this is in Florida. I don't know where in Florida.
Of course it was, yeah.
And it's this guy who is a clown. And he's a really creepy clown. Like, he wears this mask. It kind of looks like a scarecrow mask. Like Scarecrow from the Batman movies. When I say Batman movies, I feel this urge to like be specific about which Batman movies I'm talking about. But the Batman Begins, was he in that one? Yeah, because then it was The Dark Knight, and then anyway. So what he is he basically advertised by putting a picture. It looks like, anyway, his mask looks like that, but with like clown makeup on it. It just looks freaky as hell, okay? So he advertised by putting Wrinkles the Clown and a picture of himself and his phone number on a sticker, and he pasted it all over town. You know how people just paste random shit on poles and shit? And apparently you're supposed to hire him if you've got kids who are bad and you want to scare them. Okay? He's not like a birthday party clown. He's actually like, he'll come and hang out in your backyard, and then you'll be like,
why
oh my God,
would you hire this guy? Oh my God.
It's if your kids are bad. Okay, so this starts out where it's fascinating because they've got all these kids calling the number and then being like, oh my God, that his voice is so scary. And then they show the guy hanging out, but he's like, I don't want you to see my face. So they never show his face. You can just tell he has a beard. And it's this guy that literally lives out of his van. Okay? and they anyway, they cut sometimes to like these like imaginary sequences of him like carrying a little girl in his arms like he's going to go off and kill her. And then totally out of nowhere, 2/3 through the movie, they cut to the guy who's actually Wrinkles the Clown. It turns out that this old guy that lives in a van he's just a fictional character. The real Wrinkles the Clown is here, and his voice is blocked off. You only see his shadow, and he's like, I don't want anybody to know who I am because of, I want to remain anonymous because this character is so popular. And they show him setting up a thing with a parent where he's going to be in the yard when the kids are over having a game day, and then he shows up. And this completely out of nowhere, so fucking bizarre, like, I can't believe this is a thing. And this is right off the heels of watching the Missing 411 documentary that is more or less kind of paranormal. This is one of the most bizarre documentaries I have ever seen. Anyway, Wrinkles the Clown. And they talk about, clowns being scary in general. And apparently, I always assume that clowns started being scary with It. Specifically I think it was 1990 TV movie with Tim Curry. But I think it's being scared of clowns has always been a thing.
It was Poltergeist that did it for me, but...
Yes, Poltergeist. That's right. Yes. It was before that. I think there may have been one or two movies where there may have been a killer clown as well.
Well,
anyway.
Or Casey. What was his name? The actual serial killer.
Oh, John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy, yeah.
Yeah, he was a really creepy clown. I remember him being interviewed by Geraldo, I think, and he was talking about how, clowning used to be such an art, and it isn't anymore, and people make fun of it, and, well, I'm like, dude, because, like, you killed 30 people and buried...
You were the reason. You were one of the main reasons. But yeah, I think Bert. He's being made fun of about his like being in his van, or his van being, or whatever. What did he call it?
Motorhome. He lives in a motorhome, which is better than a van.
Right, it would be better than a van. But it kind of reminds me of Ward Fowler, who played Lasad in Fate to Murder. Where he had his he loved his little motorhome.
I think that if I ever found myself single, I would go by. I would live in an RV in a motorhome. I mean, there's plenty of places to do that here. You know what? I couldn't do it. I got too much shit.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, and you would literally have to shit right next to where you sleep. So it's...
Oh, like that movie Nomadland with Frances McDormand, where she lives out of her van with a bunch an area with a bunch of people, and they show them how to shit. They have a literal like bucket that you would get like at Home Depot, and that's how she shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
They don't focus on it too much. Good movie.
But anyways,
one Best Picture.
So back to the episode. So while Bert is watching these 3 episodes, well, he's not really watching these episodes of Beat Cop. He's on the phone bitching, trying to figure out, how much power does Duvall really have, and can he, move against her. Anyway, so he's shot during the screening. So there's a scene on the screener where Bert's character is firing a gun on the episode, and they use the sound effects of those shots to cover up the real shots when he gets shot from behind a curtain. What? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a bad year. Went down the wrong hole.
Oh.
Yeah. So I immediately thought, well, this is a clue.
It is?
Because
Got
obviously the murderer would have to know that there's going to be shots at this point in the film.
Yeah, would know the show and know that Keith would be in the screening room by himself.
Yeah. And the projectionist is like, I didn't hear any shots. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear any shots. That's bullshit, sir. You would totally tell the difference between... You ever hear a real gun go off indoors? It's loud. It's fucking loud.
Well, it's not like a small room. It's in like a movie theater kind of environment.
Yeah, I guess. And it's kind of padded for sound, too. Well, okay, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
So, Lieutenant...
Steve,
yes.
I want to ask you, at this point,
Uh-huh.
who do you think the murderer is?
I was leaning towards Julie, I think, at the time. And who else? Maybe Brian, the president.
Okay. See, I would have thought... I am not bragging at all, but I was leaning towards Bruce Kirby.
That early, huh?
Yeah, it was... And I think it was the scene where the lieutenant has everybody from the show gathered around, and he's asking them where they were between, what is it, 10:30 and 11, and, like, nobody has an alibi. But I'm like, oh, okay. Because if you think about it, Bruce Kirby... He's got nothing to do with anything in the show other than being a supporting character in the show. Dana, we hear, is going to have her own show. She was promised her own show to be in some sort of medical drama. So, okay, there's a motive. But why is Andy there? Why is Bruce Kirby there?
Well, because everybody on the cast... They were just letting the cast know there's been a death, not that anybody was a suspect.
Yeah.
But before you... go there. So we learned that Vincent or Lieutenant Palmero is assigned to the case. And by the way, he's embarrassed. I mean, he's not out of my scope of possibilities because we do know, since the show or the main character is based off him, that the other police officers on the force tease him about it, and so he would love nothing more than that show to get canceled. And he even kind of hints at that to Maggie. She's kind of like, I wouldn't mind if that show did... Or she says, the show's going to get canceled, Vincent. And he goes, I know. Or something like that. So he's fine with it. But yeah, so Julie is the one, the number 2 person at the studio. She's the one that discovered Keith's body. So that is suspicious, that she's the one that discovered him.
Yeah, she clearly has a motive. Promotion.
Yeah. Promotion.
Oh, and the murder weapon... was quote-unquote Bert's gun that he used on set.
On set, right.
And now, did
Loaded
you have any
with
Alec
rounds.
Baldwin flashbacks about this? Because
Alec Baldwin?
because,
From that Rust. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know. It didn't cross my mind, but yeah.
Because when the prop guy's explaining this, the lieutenant's like, oh, you use a real gun? He goes, oh, we always use real guns. Somebody pried open the chest here and got his gun out. This is the thing. In an investigation like this, not only do you have to know where the gun came from, but if someone pried open the gun cabinet, what did they pry it open with? All right? You have to think about that too. If you're writing a story that's a mystery, but this is never brought up.
No, it's never discussed.
I mean, if we would have just found a crowbar in the scene of the crime, that would be cool, but... And when did the person do it and find time to do it? And when you look back after this is finished, you're gonna there's no way the murderer would have had time to literally break open the prop cabinet to get out the gun. And I thought that the purpose for a while. This is why I thought it was Bruce Kirby, because if Bert is arrested for the murder, which he is, because it's an episode of Murder, She Wrote, or Maggie wrote Murder, or whatever you want to call it. Because if Bert is arrested, doesn't Andy become like the lead in the series?
Not necessarily, because remember, there's a scene with Leo, the talent agent. He's like, "Hey, I've got people lined up that would want to take this role." So,
okay.
Anyways, there's another suspect I want to discuss real quickly. Is Brian, the president of the studio, and the reason he's a suspect is we find out that he's not going to set up the screening for Keith because he's going to be conveniently out playing golf somewhere else, and so he puts it in Maggie's hands to take care of. But there he is, all of a sudden, the day of the murder, he's at the studio, and Maggie even says, "What are you doing here? I thought you were playing on the links or something." And I forgot what excuse he had; it was canceled or something like that. But that, to me, was suspicious as well.
It's like it was called off. But anyway, Maggie, yeah.
But so we find out that all of Bert's lines because now he's in prison, he's been arrested. All of his lines are going to go to I was going to call him Andy, but Bruce Kirby and Julie, not Julie, Dana.
Yeah,
and that's when I think during around that time was when we have the scene with Leo, the talent agent, who gives Maggie a list of people that could play the role. And I forgot, one of them was a famous actor.
Really?
He's the guy that was in a bunch of like action films from the 70s.
Oh no, she says Charles Bronson.
Yeah. Wasn't he on the list?
No, I think she doesn't say Charles. I think she says something like Chuck Bronson.
Oh. Okay.
Or some. Wait, did he go by Charles Bronson? Or Chuck Bronson? Maybe she said Chuck Bronson. It wasn't the exact name, but it's that old guy. And I think he would have been too old for the role by now because I think he died not long after this aired. But the Death Wish guy.
Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking of. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think she said Chuck Bronson, or maybe she said Chuck Connors. I don't know.
So Julie's now in charge of the studio, and she has a meeting with Maggie and Brian, and you can tell she went from like a caring character, now she's kind of cold, basically saying, "Yeah, we're not going to renew the show." And so she kind of does a turn tail on how she feels about the program. Basically, she feels if there's no Bert, then there's no show. That he's the main reason people tune in. And so she's going to start filling the show with another idea, what was it? It was a medical show that's going to star Dana. And Dana's going to be And so this is all news to Maggie, and a little shocked. So it seems like her show is starting to go south. Looked like it was going to be saved, but now it's definitely going to get canceled.
Yes. So we have motives piling up.
Oh yeah,
like drunks on New Year's Eve. And then I don't know the character's name, but the lovable security guard. And by the way, I don't know if for real according to the Pushing Up Daisy's Pushing Up Rose's YouTube account, these were all pilots for TV shows or proposals for TV shows. I personally think that you could have put Jessica Fletcher in this story.
Yeah.
And unlike the other one that unlike the other one we saw, because that was set like in the 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I was going with this. But yeah, there's the lovable big old security guard. And he's true to life. He doesn't look like he could chase down anybody because he's old and he's fat. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And he points out to her, he tells her conveniently the whole story about how Andy used to have his own show until Keith canceled it. Then
it's a little more subtle than that. They kind of...
I don't think it was subtle at all.
Well, no. Like they explain it before that. So there's a scene where Brian. Well, we got to say Maggie doesn't want anything to help with Bert. She can't stand the guy, and Brian and what was the lady Harriet Duvall. says, "You need to solve the case." And Brian says, "Look, if you help solve the case, I'll give you your passion project a green light, which is love in Naples." And so Maggie agrees that she'll help with the investigation because she's got the mind for it, as Brian says. Like, you can do it if anybody can. But yeah, so Andy, it's the scene what you're talking about. Is when Andy starts to take over Bert's role. He's got most of his lines at this point. And we find out from Dana that he had once his own TV program called Landry Hall, where he plays like a college professor. Mm-hmm. Big program back in the fictional world, back in the early days. And I guess it got canceled, but it was canceled, get this, it was canceled by Keith Comedy. So there, I think that's the introduction. Because I think Maggie at one point was going after Dana because she was getting her own show. When we found that out, I'm like, oh, she did it. But then we start to develop that, Andy or,
right,
Bruce Kirby.
Yeah. Now, at this point, did you start to suspect it was Bruce Kirby?
Yeah, and now it starts to pile up at this point. It's almost like all the other people start to fade away who could have done it and had a motive. So, I mean, Kirby had... He was jealous, he wanted revenge because he was at the top of his game. That was when he was young, and he had a number one rated show. It was canceled from him, cut away by Keith. Yeah.
When this came out, Bruce Kirby was young because the man lived to be 99 years old. He died like last year.
Oh, wow.
So he kind of still was young. I don't know what the last thing was that he was in, but we also have to talk about the, I don't know what to call it, the secret passage, the doorway to backstage that the murderer used to shoot Keith.
Right.
That was originally used because some star in the network used to bring his, I don't know, hoochie back there to... It's just ridiculous. It's like, why do we need to explain that? It's a door going backstage. I believe it's used all the time. Ask Robert Culp, doing his little sales video in that one Columbo episode. He used it there too. But the lovable security guard explains this to Maggie, and something in that makes me think that there's a clue. There's got to be. This is a clue.
Well, there's a paranormal scene in this. Did you catch this?
Oh, when she goes back. Oh, wait, no. We're not there yet. Because I know what you're talking about.
What? What am I talking about?
Are you talking about the smoke?
No. What's smoke?
Oh, okay. Because when she goes back there later on, when we find out who the killer is, it looks like it's on fire because there's smoke coming in from the side. I
didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
There's a ghost. No. So there's a scene where Maggie has another meeting with Brian and Miss Duvall, and back at her mansion home.
Her mansion home, even though we only see her living room.
Yeah, and while she's talking, it's the close-ups on her, but over her right shoulder, it looks like there's a little gray alien with glowing eyes.
Are you serious? I mean, I
know it's not. It's got to be some statue with like a tiny statue with these little eyes. But when I saw it, I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" So when you watch this again, if you watch it again, look over her right shoulder, or stage right shoulder, and there's these little glowing golden eyes that are over her with like a little head, but it's blurred out because it's in the background, and the camera's obviously focused on her, but.
Okay, I gotta look at that. Actually, it'll pop up because I'm watching it right now. I know you don't like it when I say that, but I'm watching it right now, and that scene hasn't come up yet. I'll watch that. You have to look for Columbo's car in that one scene.
Yeah, I do.
Swear to God.
But that's when we get to a point where Maggie she goes back to her office and she's got a VHS copy of the dailies. And they said, there's a continuity flaw. We got to take care of it tomorrow. Emergency.
And it's the pencil. Vi tells her the editor gave her the message. It's the pencil. You know what? We need more Vi. I think we need more Vi, and we need more lovable fat security guard. in this.
They could have had their own show. Why wasn't that?
Yeah.
Why wasn't that approved for
a
spinoff? Come on.
Exactly.
But yeah. In the dailies, Maggie notices that Andy, or AKA Bruce Kirby's character had in the close-ups. The master, what they call the master shots, he has a pencil, but when they do a close-up on him, there's no pencil.
There's no pencil.
So why is there no pencil? Which I feel like is the loosest thing to have a clue based off of, but okay.
We're getting there. Okay. So this means, obviously, Bruce Kirby has to be the murderer, because the clue that we're shown is a pencil in his pocket. All right? Mm-hmm. So what does that have to do? I sound like Bill Cosby there. Pencil in his pocket.
In the pudding pops.
Put it in the pudding pops. Okay, I see the alien. It's so creepy. I see it now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's two glowing eyes over her shoulder.
It looks like it reminds.
Now, if you were home alone and you saw that in the dark, you would shit your pants.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like, what's the movie? Oh God, with Karen Black. Trilogy of Terror, where somebody sends her a gift. Oh, please have this voodoo doll, or this. You know what I'm talking about. It looks like something like that. Like, oh, please have this and keep this in your home where you sleep. No, I don't want this. Please take it away, burn it. And of course, it ends up killing her. But yeah. So I don't know how to explain how this ends exactly, but it has something to do with the pencil in the hallway.
Well, she realizes, okay, well, if the pencil's... Okay, I think her main suspect is now Bruce Kirby, so she decides she's going to see if she can find the pencil. So she goes to that secret hallway that leads to the theater, and she's looking for the pencil, and Bruce Kirby shows up.
Uh-huh. Which means he's the murderer.
He's aware of it too, because I guess he got a copy of the dailies, and he knows. Oh, they got to do a reshoot tomorrow because there's a missing pencil, and he realizes, oh fuck, there's that's going to lead them to me. So he's got to go. He's got to go collect the pencil before someone else finds it. He just doesn't know Maggie's there.
So whoever shows up, coincidentally, has to be the murderer looking for the. Well, it's him, obviously.
Right. So there's a chase that ensues, but it doesn't last but more than maybe 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah. He's really... Nasty Bruce Kirby is really nasty.
So, fortunately, Vincent and the other police officers are waiting for him. They know he's there. Why are they there? I don't know. They know he's the killer. How they know, I don't know. But they save Maggie, and they arrest him.
I know. Wait, I know what I don't understand. So she sees that the pencil is missing. Now, this could have happened anywhere, in any shoot, at any time, murder or no murder. So she jumps to the conclusion that if he's missing the pencil, that means that he dropped it on the floor in the hallway leading to the murder room. Okay? Mm-hmm. He could have dropped it in a dozen other places. He could have dropped it on the commissary floor. Why does she make the
the bathroom?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I do like the scene where she calls the director and she's going to ask him about, the scene that she just watched with the pencil. And the director, he has a name, and she says his name, but on IMDb, he's just called Director. But whatever he's eating, I want some of that, because it looks like a delicious Italian meal that his wife cooked up. Actually, it's probably just mastacholi, but whatever. Cut to, I don't know, some sort of merry scene, and they're like, oh yeah, Dana's going to get her own show. We're going to have to recast her. We're going to have to recast Andy.
Obviously.
Bert's out of prison, and there's a joke made, and they both laugh. Ah ha ha! Freeze frame.
No. And Brian reneges on his promise to Maggie that he's not going to produce a Love and Nipples, whatever. And so she's not quite upset. You'd think that would piss her off, but no. She tells Vi, her secretary, this day can't get ruined for me. I've got a date planned with Vincent.
Oh, Jesus, yes. Oh, yeah. We got to mention this.
Yeah, and then, again, I don't understand the relationship because Vincent keeps calling her a kid. He's much older than she is. When she goes in for a kiss earlier in the scene, he kisses her on the forehead instead. It's like, well, what kind of relationship? Are they friends? Or, what? Maybe he's like a stepbrother. Like, I don't know. But it didn't feel like a romantic connection until she said that at the end.
Yeah.
They were going on a date.
And Vi says, oh, cool, he's really cute, too.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all.
Like, I'm not saying the man is ugly.
Did Dennis Arnott, who plays Vincent, did he, give her, buy her lunch that day? Like, if you just say this one line, just slip it in.
Yeah. He'd be a hot commodity, like on the Golden Girls. Because there's always some old guy that shows up. I've spent a lot of time watching the Golden Girls lately.
Sure you have.
Because I purchased a Hulu subscription and I immediately canceled it, and so I can get it for free. Because I wanted to see the movie with my future ex-boyfriend,
Who's that?
Joel Kim Booster, about the Fire Island movie. Don't watch this movie. It's not a really good movie.
Joel, how do you spell his last name? Kim Booster?
Steve's Joel Kim Booster, like 3 names.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Are
you serious? Oh, jeez. No. He's not attractive at all.
Okay, wait. No, this
he
is
looks
the
like
thing.
he looks fat in the face, and he's got like a neck tattoo. What's going on? Oh, that's just his shirt. He's got a chili bowl haircut, like from Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, yes. I don't like the haircut, but he used to have a normal haircut, and it looked really good. So he wrote this movie, and I swear to God, there were parts of the movie that were really good, but it's like a typical gay 90s movie about a group of friends and blah, blah. It just doesn't have AIDS in it. And Margaret Cho's in it, and Bowen Yang is in it. And I just felt like part of his thing in making the movie was that he had to film every single scene in a bikini bottom. And I'm like, yeah. I hate this. This character is so vapid and so selfish, and I just can't. And Bowen Yang is excellent in it, but I can't just watch the movie for a supporting character. So, anyway.
So the other thing I wanted to bring up for pre-show banter, which I didn't, since you're taking us off the show again, well, there was a line where Maggie, she doesn't like being the producer-writer for this beat cop show. It's below her. She wants to write real material. She's a real writer. I mean, Jessica quotes a poem that she wrote about a rose and stuff like that. So she has better aspirations to be a really good writer, not somebody who writes what I think she called schlock cop stuff, or hard-boiled cop shows, as Jessica. So that's not her thing. That's not what she wants to be doing with her life. That's just what she kind of fell into. And so she's talking to Leo, the talent agent, who was a suspect because Leo could profit if this new medical show was to launch. He would have made a fortune in recasting because he would have been his clientele. So he becomes a suspect earlier. But there's a scene where she's talking to Leo, and she says, "Well, have any of the other studios looked at my other scripts?" Because she's writing a movie, I guess that Love in Naples script. And he's like, "No, none of them want anything." And she goes, "Well," she says something to the effect that, "Oh, I don't want to do that movie because they just want to cast it with the Police Academy 6 cast." Which is funny because this past couple of days with my youngest son, we watched Police Academy 1 and 2. So,
well, I have all the Three Stooges movies here on DVD if you want to come over and watch that.
Three Stooges or Police Academy? Oh,
Three Stooges.
But I mean, I was trying to
one Police Academy movie, and
the first one's the best. I will say it. Second one is okay. I seem to recall the third one being fun. And I think, because she said 6, so I think there are 6. I never made it. I never watched every single one. I want to say I made it up to either 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because I think Steve Guttenberg stopped doing them. Like the main cast, I started doing it. I love the character, Tackleberry, the guy who's the gun nut.
I just don't know what happened to Steve Guttenberg. I know he's doing things, but it's like, okay, he was in The Day After. Remember that movie that terrified you as a kid? I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know he was in that. Okay.
Yeah, he was in that. And then it's like he went from that to Police Academy. I may be wrong. Maybe he went from Police Academy to that, but...
He was in a movie. It was a black and white film that put him on the map. Let's see, what...
Was it black and white movie? Not because it was old, but because it was like Schindler's List, Ed Wood, that type of thing.
I guess it was... What was it? I'm pulling up his IMDb now. Well, he was in Short Circuit. Ugh, God,
yeah,
I hated that movie.
So I got to tell you this, Steve. You know when you hear of somebody's name and then it's mentioned in another context later on by something else? Mm-hmm. Well, last week we had Comic-Con here.
Oh, really?
And I think it was not technically Comic-Con. I think it was like Wizard World or something. Mm-hmm. And the main two people, the 2 people on the top listed. Okay, first of all, I'll tell you who was bottom listed. They had maybe 10 guests show up. Bottom listed was, I couldn't believe it, Adrienne Barbeau.
Barbeau? Who's that?
Oh, Steve. Just call me Billy. Everyone does. I mean, she shouldn't be known for that, but that's what we mostly know her from. She was also in the Fog and Swamp Thing.
Oh, yes.
I think she was in an episode of Murder, She Wrote that we watched, wasn't she?
It feels like she would have.
I'm sure she is in an episode.
Was it, I remember, she was in that documentary you sent, that sci-fi 80s.
Oh, yes.
Finding Tomorrow.
Yeah. She's aged much better than Sean Young.
Oh, boy.
That's not very nice to say.
No, that wasn't. No.
Sean Young nowadays looks like she should be Jessica Fletcher. Like, But anyway, she's listed last. And then speaking of that documentary, the 2 on the top were Billy Dee Williams, who of course played Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
And his son. Something. Corey Williams, I think is his
name.
Right. So I missed that. Oh well. Just saying.
Okay. So, you ready to review Murder According to Maggie?
You were going to look something up, weren't you?
I thought he was nominated for Oscar, Steve Guttenberg, but I can't find it, so...
Okay.
All right.
For that black and white thing he did?
Yeah. He played a minor role. I thought he got nominated. I don't think he won it, but I thought he...
I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of Drive.
Okay.
I think because he had a minor role in that, and he was, I don't know, he kind of stood out, and I think there was some Oscar buzz for that, but he didn't actually get nominated. He may have been nominated for like a Golden Globe or something like that. Yeah. All right, give me the number, Steve.
All right, so
give me the numbers. I want to know all
the number.
About it.
You want to know all about it? So I took the number from something in the episode. It's a scene where we find out that Vincent is 9 years and 4 months older than Maggie.
Oh yeah.
So she claims that's not a big difference. I think that can be.
I don't know.
10 years almost. Yeah.
I don't know if you're 16 and your boyfriend or girlfriend is 9 years older. That's a lot. But if you're 30 and your partner's 39, not so much.
I guess because Vincent is just so hot. He's
so cute. Oh, dream boy. They should make a spin-off Vincent Palermo.
Well, I'm wondering if this show would have got some traction. It does make you think. Well, these were supposed to be spin-off, kind of early, I guess, proof of concept. What would have been the actual show? Would it have been about Maggie and her attempts to date an older cop? I mean, was that the
I
premise?
don't want to see that show. I don't want to see that.
And he has kids. Vincent has kids. They mention that.
I assume, I hope that he's divorced or widowed.
Oh, I would have watched it if he was having an affair with her. They had a one-time fling when she was trying to write the script for Beat Cop to get it sold. They had a one-night fling, and now that's why he was so... Because he didn't want anything to do with her. Like, he doesn't want to kiss her. He doesn't want to be around her.
Yeah, he acts like he's married. And what if she found out, like in like the 5th episode, that he was married, and that was I don't know if I want to see that, Steve. I want to see her and Vi and the security guard do stuff. Like,
I want to see Maggie play a twin sister. Her and her twin sister sneak aboard a cruise ship to Cancun, fall in love with the ship's purser, Gopher.
That sounds like the stupidest thing. I can't believe that you know that.
I was staring at her. Half of this episode, like, I've seen her. Recently, because Love Boat is being played on Pluto TV, constant reruns. There's a Love Boat channel. You can turn that on, and Love Boat will always be playing for you. So,
yeah, I know that, and I can't believe that you are a person that watches that or has time to... I'm unemployed, so I would have an excuse.
You should watch it. It's very entertaining. You grab a couple of drinks, you pretend you're on the boat, and you get to see these old famous 80s stars. And you even see some like older stars from like the 40s in there, and they're playing older people. I mean, everybody that was famous on a TV show back in the 70s and 80s have made an appearance pretty much on the Love Boat. Guaranteed. Who was it that really surprised me? It wasn't Scott Bakula. It was anyways, they've all been on there.
Scott Baio.
Huh?
Scott Baio.
Scott Baio was on there. I know that for a fact. I hate it.
LeVar Burton was the
LeVar Burton.
Why do you know this? How much
I've
time have you spent watching The Love Boat? It's like if I said, oh, there's a Mork and Mindy channel on the old Pluto over there. Yeah.
I don't know if that show aged very well. I've watched a few Mork and Mindy's recently, and I don't know why I liked it as a kid, but anyways, okay. So out of for Murder According to Maggie, how would you rate this? Out of 9 years and 4 months.
It's not Murder According to Maggie. It's Murder According to Maggie. Like, okay, it's not murder. Maggie thinks it is, but it's really not murder. That's what I don't know. I'm sorry, what was 9 years and 4 months?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you and I were talking the other day. We were playing video games. We were talking, and you were like, yeah, I watched it, and I watched it. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. It's not going to be good. Would I watch this if it was a regular show? Like, let's pretend this really was like the pilot of a TV show. No, I'm not going to ever watch this again. I don't care. I don't care about her. I don't care about Lieutenant Palermo. I just don't give a shit. It's just not my cup of tea. I'd rather watch Jessica Fletcher solving mysteries. Now, for this podcast, watching it, knowing it's just 1 out of 6 episodes featuring characters that have nothing to do with Jessica Fletcher or Cabot Cove, it's bearable. It's actually not bad. I really don't mind it. I think she's kind of cute. I could watch more of her, but the whole Palermo thing, forget about it. No. There's no chemistry. He's not a leading man type. I'm not saying that he has to be like, Tab Hunter or Rock Hudson or anything like that, but I'm just saying, I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. I want to see more of Vi. She's like, what was that character's name? Vi kind of reminds me of like, do you remember Moonlighting? Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. They had that secretary, Miss DePesto, and I don't know why I remember her name was Miss DePesto, but like she's like that.
Okay.
As far as a mystery goes, because this is, after all, like all the other episodes of Murder, She Wrote, it is a murder mystery. It's not bad until the end. It's got to be one of the worst gotcha clues we have ever seen. Oh, the pencil is missing, therefore he dropped the pencil in the hallway. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. I'm gonna give this. It's kind of middling. I'm gonna give this 4 years, 11 months. Whatever. I could have done something worse with my 45 minutes. I could have been watching, I don't know, something else. I don't know what, but yeah.
You could have been watching Love and Nipples, yeah.
Or editing podcasts, which I seem to have a problem doing lately. But yeah, that's what I think about it. It's, let's move on. That's how I feel. Let's move on.
Yeah.
It's okay. I want more Jessica, though.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't watch another episode with these people in it.
I agree with you actually quite a bit on this. So Diana Carnova, yeah, she's very cute. I liked what she did. I thought the characters were very likable. I didn't mind Dennis Arnott as Lieutenant Palmero. The leading man thing that one way or the other, I thought he was fine, and it would have maybe been an interesting show. So I guess my opinion is, if knowing what we know now, what these season 6 episodes were supposed to be, basically spin-off concept ideas, would I have watched it? Kind of what you thought about, do you want to see more of these characters? Would I have watched this show if it got picked up? No, I wouldn't have. It was an enjoyable show, but I think the reason I enjoyed it as much as I did was Bruce Kirby. Just seeing Bruce Kirby have a main role in this. He's not a background character. He's the killer. And just seeing him, I think I enjoyed his performance the most. So my enjoyment came out of Bruce. But if I didn't know who Columbo was, or Bruce's history with the show Columbo, that would have been lost on me back then. So it's not bad, but again, it's not Murder, She Wrote, and I'm starting to not enjoy these season 6 bookend episodes because they don't have Jessica or Angela Lansbury starring.
And it's not like we're going to watch all 6 of them, and I think there might be 7 of them, but back to back. Someday we should rate them, and the one that we watched before, the Grand Old Lady, was so much better.
That was good. It was good. Yeah, that was very satisfying for some reason.
Yeah, that was really good. This, not so much.
Yeah,
but I honestly really can't wait to watch the Bill Maher one.
Yeah, actually. But so it was very kind of middle of the road for me as well. And I was toying with the idea, maybe in the 4-year marker area, but I gotta give it some props. I mean, it was still enjoyable, even though it wasn't a Murder, She Wrote episode, technically. I'd give it a solid 5 years, I think, out of the 9. So kind of midway. You gave it a little less than 5 years. I think that's fair, honestly.
Okay, so you gave it only 1 month more than I did, because I said 4 years, 11 months.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'd buy that for $1. Okay. Steve, are you ready to spin the wheel?
Are the cats in the room?
Like, seriously, are they in the room, or for the purpose of the podcast?
No, it's
the one was.
Are the cats actually bringing the wheel in?
Well, see, normally
I imagine they have these harnesses strapped to them with these leashes that are attached to this big, like 6 foot tall like Wheel of Fortune looking wheel. It's what I imagine in my mind.
And it's like, call the Humane Society now, please.
That's right. We're gonna get an email.
So in reality, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, I record in this room. It's a sort of a spare bedroom, but it doesn't have a bed. It just has all my shit in it. It's basically my man cave. Mm-hmm. And I have to record with the door closed because my partner, Tom, is home, and he makes a lot of loud noises, like with pots and pans and cooking and eating.
He's just he's a loud talker.
Yeah, or loud, talking to his Thai relatives on the phone, which you have to say, in much higher decibels than if you're, speaking English. So I keep the door closed. There wouldn't normally be cats in here, because then the cats, as soon as they see the door is closed, they want to go outside. They want to leave the room. But I did have a cat here. He was sitting right next to me.
Lucas?
And
not Lucas.
Lucas is no longer with us.
I'm sorry. That makes me feel bad now. Because I like Lucas, but yeah.
It was Walter.
Walter. Walter's a good boy. I like Walter.
Well, no, I don't think you're thinking. Are you sure? I think you're just being nice, but...
No, Blue's the one I hate.
Blue. Okay, Blue. Okay, I thought maybe you were thinking of Blue, but... Yeah. Walter was sitting here, and at one point when I laughed really loud, he freaked out and he ran outside. Not outside, but outside the room. But I normally keep the door closed, and because we live in Texas, and it's 103 degrees here right now.
Wow.
I sweat like a pig. For some reason, however, though, I'm still sweating like a pig, and I should probably drink a lot of water when we're done here, because I've been drinking bourbon at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And okay. All right. The cats are here. Right.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's one of them right there, Steve. You just got it. Hold on. Cats, they're still setting up. Talk amongst yourselves. Yes, put it right there. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Spin the wheel, Steve.
All right. Using my imagination, spinning the wheel.
You can just say you're spinning the wheel. Okay, so we are actually going to be watching the first episode of Season 7 next.
Uh-huh.
It's called Trials and Tribulations.
Is that the Star Trek episode?
No, that's a Murder, She Wrote episode. And it says, Jessica's reputation is on the line when she is accused of bribery and false testimony after a prisoner dies during an attempted escape. Oh, I should have asked you what you thought it was about before I...
Well, I thought it was the Star Trek episode, but,
Well, it's not. Why would it be a Star... Okay, I'm glad that
was a Star Trek, the original show. That was
why do you know that? Why do you know that?
Why wouldn't I know that? That's so my alley.
I don't think that you've ever watched Star Trek, the original series.
Mm-hmm.
You have?
I grew up on it.
Okay. See, that was one of my suggestions after we were done with Columbo. Do Star Trek? Because
No, you didn't. No.
Yes, I did. Because I haven't seen a single episode of the old Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. But,
Well, I don't... I'm not like the biggest...
There's a million. There's a million.
I like the classic Star Trek. So, I didn't... whatever. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I am too, I guess.
God. All right. So, say goodnight, Sean.
All right. Good night, Sean. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Cabot Cove Confab. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Cabot Cove Confab or email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com.